a two-time NBA champion and 12-time All-Star, Hakeem Olajuwon.
You didn't start playing basketball, I think, until you were 15?
I was 17.
You were a handball player and a goalkeeper.
All the children growing up in Nigeria, you have to play soccer. That's like a fundamental.
When I played against Hakeem, who was my idol, I showed him too much respect. You know, when you're battling against a person, you show people respect by showing them none. But Hakeem was just, instead of bowling him in his face,
They called him the next Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the #1 pick, the future of the center position. But on December 19, 1984, when 21-year-old Hakeem Olajuwon walked onto the court to face the original standard, something unexpected happened. The legend didn't just beat the rookie, he taught him a lesson that would change basketball forever. This is the story of how a humbling night became the foundation of greatness, how a master passed down wisdom without saying a word, and how respect between generations created one of the most devastating moves the game has ever seen. The 1984 NBA draft was electric. The Houston Rockets held the first overall pick, and they used it on a towering center from the University of Houston. Hakeem Olajuwon, then known as Akeem, was the chosen one. The media went wild. Comparisons flew everywhere, and the loudest comparison was the one that mattered most. The next Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Think about the weight of that label. Kareem wasn't just any player. He was the standard, the measuring stick, the man who had dominated the center position for over a decade. And now, this explosive rookie from Houston was supposed to be his successor. Hakeem's arrival was immediate and transformative. The Rockets had finished the previous season with a miserable 29 wins and 53 losses. But with Hakeem anchoring the middle alongside Ralph Sampson in the Twin Towers, everything changed. The team surged to 48 wins and 34 losses, a 19-game turnaround. That's not normal. That's the kind of impact that validates a #1 pick. In his very first NBA game against the Dallas Mavericks, Hakeem showcased exactly why the hype was real. He scored 24 points and grabbed 9 rebounds. The kid was explosive, quick, athletic. He relied on raw talent and verticality. He was everything you'd want in a modern center. Youth, energy, potential bursting at the seams. But there was a problem. Hakeem was about to face the man he was supposedly replacing, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar wasn't ready to hand over anything. By 1984, Kareem was 37 years old. In basketball years, that's ancient. Most players at that age are retired or clinging to the end of the bench. But Kareem wasn't most players. He was still the anchor of the Showtime Lakers, still one of the most dominant forces in the league. And the reason was simple. He had mastered something that went beyond athleticism, the skyhook. This wasn't just a shot, it was a strategic weapon. Kareem had spent decades perfecting it, starting back at UCLA under John Wooden. The mechanics were flawless. The geometry was perfect. When Kareem extended his arm, the ball was shielded by his body, his shoulder, his entire frame. Any defender trying to block it had to cross into his space. That meant a foul, every single time. The skyhook couldn't be rushed. It couldn't be blocked cleanly. It was basketball mathematics made flesh. And it was the reason Kareem could still dominate at an age when most players were long gone. He had proven a critical lesson to the entire league. Raw athleticism fades, but calculated efficiency endures. So when the schedule showed Lakers at Rockets on December 19th, 1984, everyone circled the date. The eternal standard versus the anointed heir. The master versus the student who didn't know he needed lessons yet. Now here's where you come in. What do you think happened when these two finally met? Did the young lion prove he was ready? Or did the old king remind everyone why he still wore the crown? Drop your prediction in the comments before we get to the game. I want to hear what you think went down. The Lakers traveled to Houston. The arena was buzzing. This was the matchup everyone wanted to see. Hakeem Olajuwon, the explosive rookie who had already proven he belonged, against Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the 37-year-old legend who refused to age. The game tipped off, and immediately the contrast was visible. Hakeem played with fire. He was all energy and aggression, jumping, moving, attacking. He wanted to prove himself. He wanted to show the world that the comparisons were justified, that he really was the next Kareem. Kareem, on the other hand, was calm, methodical. There was no wasted movement, no unnecessary speed. He adjusted his signature goggles. He called for the ball in the post, and then he executed over and over again. The same clinical precision that had defined his entire career. Every time Kareem got the ball, he controlled the tempo. He wasn't trying to outrun anyone. He wasn't trying to outjump anyone. He was dictating the rhythm of the entire confrontation. And that's where the lesson began. Hakeem came into this game with one clear assignment. Stop Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Prove that the new generation had arrived. Prove that youth and athleticism could overcome veteran craft. But the skyhook had other plans. Every time Kareem went into his move, Hakeem had a choice. Jump early and try to contest the shot, or stay grounded and give up an easy bucket. The problem was that neither option worked. If Hakeem jumped, Kareem's release point was too high and too far. The ball was protected, and jumping meant crossing into Kareem's space. That meant a foul. If Hakeem stayed down, Kareem scored anyway. The shot was unblockable by design, so Hakeem jumped again and again. He was young, he was confident, he believed his athleticism could solve the problem. But basketball isn't always about who jumps higher. Sometimes it's about who understands space better, who controls timing better, who has perfected the geometry of the game. Kareem understood all of it, and he used that understanding to systematically dismantle the rookie. The fouls started piling up. 1, 2, 3. Hakeem was in foul trouble early, but he kept playing aggressive. He kept trying to contest everything, because that's what great defenders do, right? They challenge every shot, they never back down. Except Kareem's shot was designed to punish. Exactly that mentality. 4 fouls, 5 fouls. Hakeem was now in serious danger. One more foul and he'd be out of the game. But the Lakers kept running plays for Kareem. Why wouldn't they? The rookie defender was gift-wrapping free throws. And then it happened. Foul number 6. Hakeem Olajuwon fouled out of the game. He had to walk off the court while Kareem stayed in, still executing, still scoring, still in complete control. The final score was Lakers 123, Rockets 116. Kareem finished with 32 points. Hakeem managed 18 points and 9 rebounds. Respectable numbers for a rookie. But the 6 fouls told the real story. Fouling out isn't just a stat. It's proof that you've lost control. It means you've misjudged your opponent's timing. It means you've abandoned correct positioning. It means you've been outthought. Hakeem had been outthought completely. This wasn't about talent. Hakeem was incredibly talented. This was about mastery. Kareem had spent decades perfecting the science of postplay. He understood balance. He understood rhythm. He understood how to manipulate a defender into making mistakes. And on December 19th, 1984, he gave Hakeem a masterclass. The thing is, Kareem didn't gloat. He didn't talk trash. He didn't need to. The mechanical reliability of the skyhook did all the talking. Kareem simply played his game. Patient, calculated, efficient. And that quiet confidence was more devastating than any words could have been. For Hakeem, this was a reality check. He had dominated college. He had transformed the Rockets. He had earned the Next Kareem label. But facing the original, that was different. That required something more than physical gifts. After the game, something clicked for Hakeem. He could have responded with anger. He could have dismissed the loss as a fluke. He could have blamed his teammates or the refs or anything else, but he didn't. Instead, he chose to study. Hakeem began watching Kareem obsessively, not just the skyhook itself, but everything around it. The footwork, the balance, the patience, the way Kareem controlled space, the way he manipulated rhythm, the way he forced defenders to react on his terms instead of dictating their own. Hakeem later said he was studying Kareem's balance, his patience, his control over space and rhythm. These weren't just moves, they were principles. And they were the exact principles that separated good players from all-time greats. At the highest level of basketball, everyone is talented, everyone is athletic, everyone has size and skill. So what separates the legends from everyone else? Hakeem realized it was preparation, playing smart, making good decisions. And Kareem, at 37 years old, was the living embodiment of that philosophy. The December 19th, 1984 clash became the turning point in Hakeem's career. It was the moment he stopped relying purely on natural ability and started mastering the intellectual side of the game. He learned that true masters dictate the rhythm. They force opponents into reactive mistakes. They don't just match aggression, they control it. This is where the magic happens, because Hakeem didn't just copy Kareem. He absorbed the lessons and created something entirely his own, the Dream Shake. Now let's be clear about something. Kareem did not teach Hakeem the actual mechanics of the Dream Shake. That move came from Hakeem's unique background, his soccer footwork, his handball experience. His early mentor back in Nigeria, Yomi Sangodeyi, former Pistons player Rick Mahorn, said it perfectly. Hakeem didn't steal anybody's moves. The Dream Shake wasn't the skyhook, but the philosophy behind the Dream Shake, that came straight from what Hakeem learned watching Kareem. The Dream Shake is all about deception. It's a series of rapid pivots, shimmies, and fakes. But here's the key. It works not because of speed, but because Hakeem would slow down at critical moments. He'd read the defense, wait for the defender to shift their weight, and then instantly counter. That deliberate patience, that refusal to rush, that's pure Kareem. The Dream Shake forced defenders to commit, just like the skyhook did. Once the defender committed, Hakeem had them. He could spin, he could shoot, he could counter. The defender was always one step behind because Hakeem controlled the timing. And despite all the rapid movement and deceptive footwork, Hakeem remained perfectly balanced. His core was always centered. He could stop on a dime and launch a shot or change direction instantly. That groundedness, that unwavering balance in the middle of chaos, came directly from watching Kareem's post fundamentals. Kareem's skyhook required perfect balance to maintain trajectory and distance. Hakeem built that same principle into his Dream Shake. Different moves, same foundation. Both moves shared a common philosophy: control space, manipulate rhythm, stay patient. force the defender to react, maintain perfect balance. These were the lessons Kareem taught without ever sitting Hakeem down in a full coaching session. The results speak for themselves. Hakeem went on to become one of the most complete centers in NBA history. He eventually surpassed Kareem in career blocks. He won Defensive Player of the Year twice. He made the All-Defense team 9 times. His offensive arsenal became so diverse that many analysts call him the greatest post player ever. And here's the beautiful part. Kareem recognized it. Years later, when people would ask Kareem about the greatest centers, he would often choose Hakeem over even Shaquille O'Neal. Kareem held Hakeem's complete skill set in the highest regard. He saw what Hakeem had built. He saw the foundation he had helped lay, and he respected it completely. That endorsement from Kareem validates everything. It confirms that Hakeem absorbed the correct curriculum, not about size or power, about finesse, balance, strategic intelligence. Kareem recognized that Hakeem had successfully evolved the science of the center position while honoring the principles that made the position great in the first place. Think about how rare that is. How often do legends embrace their successors? How often does the old guard genuinely celebrate the new? In sports, we usually see bitterness, jealousy, claims that the old generation was tougher or better, but that's not what happened here. December 19th, 1984 wasn't the beginning of a bitter rivalry. It was a foundational moment of mentorship and technical transfer. The 37-year-old legend with his 32 points and flawless execution offered a curriculum to the 21-year-old rookie, and the rookie's 6 fouls were the immediate consequence of trying to apply raw strength against perfected technique. But the enduring impact came from Hakeem's response. He chose respect over resentment. He recognized that true mastery required study and preparation. He internalized Kareem's patience, balance, and spatial control, and he synthesized those cerebral elements into his own unique, explosive skill set. This is what generational greatness looks like. It's not about one player replacing another. It's about one player learning from another and then taking the game to new heights. It's about building on foundations instead of tearing them down. Kareem could have been threatened by Hakeem. The media was already calling the rookie the next version of him. But instead of seeing competition, Kareem saw an opportunity to pass down knowledge. And he did it through demonstration, through excellence, through showing up at 37 years old and proving that the principles still mattered. Hakeem could have been bitter about getting dominated, about fouling out, about being shown that he wasn't ready yet. But instead, he saw an opportunity to learn, to grow, to become something greater than just another athletic center. That mutual respect created something special. It created a positive handoff between generations. It showed that basketball isn't just about individual greatness. It's about the continuation of excellence. It's about making sure the next generation is better than the last. The skyhook and the dream shake might look completely different. One is linear extension, the other is multi-directional deception. But they share the same DNA, the same commitment to fundamentals, the same understanding that basketball at the highest level is as much mental as it is physical. Kareem proved that cerebral skill, discipline, and meticulous technique could counter the inevitability of physical decline. That was the most profound lesson he offered. And Hakeem proved that those same principles, when combined with explosive athleticism and creativity, could create something entirely new. This story matters because it reminds us what sports can be at their best. Not just competition, not just winning and losing, but education, evolution, respect. When the legend faced the next legend that December night in Houston, nobody lost. Basketball won because a 37-year-old showed a 21-year-old that greatness isn't about age or era. It's about understanding the game deeply enough to control it completely. Kareem didn't just win a regular season game. He passed on a fundamental philosophy of post-excellence. And that philosophy didn't die when Kareem retired. It lived on through Hakeem, through every dream shake, through every perfectly balanced pivot, through every moment when Hakeem controlled the rhythm and forced defenders into impossible positions. True greatness doesn't die with age. It simply continues teaching, demonstrating the path to sustainable success, one carefully placed skyhook at a time, one perfectly executed dream shake at a time. This is how legacies are built, not through ego or domination, but through generosity and respect. Kareem gave Hakeem the tools to become great, and Hakeem honored that gift by becoming one of the greatest to ever play the position. So the next time you watch highlights of Hakeem's dream shake, remember where the foundation came from. Remember the night a rookie got schooled by the master. Remember that 6 fouls weren't the end of the story. They were the beginning. And remember that when you're willing to learn from greatness, you can become great yourself. What's your favorite moment from either Kareem's or Hakeem's career? Have you ever had a moment where getting beaten taught you more than winning ever could? Share your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one, and I love hearing your basketball stories. Thanks for watching. If this story showed you something new about how greatness is passed down, hit that like button and subscribe. We've got more untold stories from basketball history coming your way. Stories about the moments that shaped legends, the lessons that defined careers, the respect that built dynasties. Until next time, remember that the best players aren't just great themselves. They make everyone around them better, even their successors, especially their successors.